at this moment in time. Reportedly, Daniel Levy's family trust has sold 24.99% stake in Enic, which is the parent company of Tottenham Hotspur, to 8 Sports Capital Limited. And everyone's asking, who the hell are these 8 Sports Capital Limited, which we'll get into very, very shortly. But let's go and have a look at the statement that 8 Sports Capital have released this morning regarding this. And they say, London, 5th of June 2026, 8 Sports Capital Limited today announced the signing of a sale and purchase agreement to acquire 24.99% interest in Enic Sports and Development Holdings Limited, the parent company of Tottenham Hotspur. The transaction is structured through an acquisition of Oakchester Limited. It's all a bunch of jargon. Basically, what they're saying is they've acquired 24.99% share of Enic, of Daniel Levy's holdings in Enic, which is not the full holdings that he has, but a large portion of it. And cast your mind back to last year when there were failed attempts to buy Tottenham Hotspur outright from NG Wing Fei and the former DJ and NASA employee Brooklyn Eric. And they both were rejected out of hand, and then it was said they couldn't go in for another 4 or 5 months or whatever it was. And then there were reports later on saying that these two were going to team up to try and buy Daniel Levy out of Tottenham. And it looks as though that is exactly what is happening, because we've taken a look into 8 Sports Capital, which is owned by Triller, which is owned by Wing Fei and Richard Tsai, and Brooklyn Eric is the CEO of this company. So it's not anything new. Well, the interest of these guys is nothing new in Tottenham. That has been there for quite some time now. But it looks as though we might be seeing them or hearing from them around the place a lot more often now, as looks like they've brought Daniel Levy out.
Yeah, there was a spokesperson for 8 Sport Capital in the statement says, we are delighted to have signed this agreement to acquire a significant stake in Enic. We look forward to working with the club's shareholders, management, staff, players and fans to support Tottenham Hotspur's continued growth and success. They also said the parties have agreed that no further public comment will be made regarding the commercial terms of the transaction. So obviously the big question is, they've bought 24.99% of Daniel Levy's shares. How much did they acquire them for? Because that obviously gives a value that you can kind of determine the valuation of Tottenham Hotspur by how much they've bought these shares for. But they have left that undisclosed. We don't really know exactly how much. There's going to be a lot of speculation. Polymarket suggesting that they value those shares about 650 million, which would value Tottenham about 2.6 billion pounds. Obviously, we know that according to previous reports, Brooklyn Eric and his consortium had a 4.5 billion pound bid rejected. So if that's nearly 2 billion over what Polymarket are saying Tottenham maybe should be worth. So very, very interesting developments. Brooklyn Eric seems, obviously he tweets about Tottenham. He's very much involved in the public discourse on Tottenham. He's not shy about his opinions. He said on the final day of the season, he posted a video of the Tottenham fans saying these guys are the only reason that Tottenham stayed in the Premier League. So he considers himself a big Tottenham fan himself, clearly follows the club. But obviously, there's a lot of speculation previously about how serious he was, because this guy was obviously a former DJ turned tech bro, turned billionaire, who was making a lot of public statements about wanting Tottenham. But there was a lot of skepticism at the time about, is this guy really serious? Is this just a massive PR move? Is he trying to get his name out in the media? I think TalkSport, I think maybe Simon Jordan was suggesting this guy ain't serious. He's just trying to drum up interest for his own name. And he might be a Tottenham fan, but he's not actually serious about getting involved with the club. Well, this seems like he's more than serious at this point in time. And him and with the other guy, what's his name? Richard?
NG Wing Fei.
NG Wing Fei. And they're now back.
Richard Tsai.
That's it, Richard Tsai. They're backed by now this Richard Tsai guy, who's one of the CEOs of Triller, and he's worth about 10 billion as well within himself. So all of a sudden, you've got a group of guys coming into the club with Brooklyn Eric involved, who is a passionate Tottenham fan, and maybe. Could this be the first steps of a potential takeover? We'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting. That might be down the line, but I think they've got involved for a very specific reason, and that's hopefully to help Tottenham grow. And I think that's what Brooklyn Eric does care about.
Yeah, I just don't know really if this is a good thing or a bad thing for Tottenham. It's hard to know, really, isn't it? Because we don't really know who these people are, what their intentions are with the club, or anything. It really is hard to know. But what we do feel, or what I do feel, is that it is kind of exciting when you've got people that have got a major investment in the club now that are worth a crazy amount of money. Are they just looking to make a pretty penny and to be off with themselves? Are they looking for sporting success? Are they just do what Daniel Levy did and just try and make some money out of it? I don't know. What are they looking for?
Who knows? All we know is Brooklyn Eric has been very vocal about how much of a Tottenham fan he is. Is that just PR? Who knows? But
yeah, I mean, he was, but that very much came out at the time as when he was trying to buy the club.
I'm saying he's been tweeting about us since.
Yeah,
and he
but this has obviously been going on in the background since.
Yeah, must have been.
So I don't know if he's actually really that kind of well into Tottenham, or this was just something to get the fans on board. It's hard to know.
It's hard to know. He's been kind of very forthright about the fact that he is a big Tottenham fan, and that's what he cares about. But obviously, they don't get into this not to make money and not to make profit. I'm sure that's part of it. We also know that with Daniel Levy leaving the club, there is maybe. I was looking at 8 Sports Limited, their website, and it says what we offer. It says, unlock your potential. 8 Sports Capital provides the resources, expertise you need to secure the necessary funding for your transformative journey, achieve financial stability, invest in athletes, infrastructure, technology, and compete at the highest level. And if you partner with 8 Sports Capital and gain access to the diversified portfolio of high-growth sports financing opportunities across the globe, generate competitive returns while supporting the positive impact and growth of the clubs of the global sporting industry. So they seem very much targeted at increasing revenues, increasing profits and stuff like that as well. So I'm sure with the hole that Daniel Levy's left, maybe they're aiming to kind of fill that void as well, because with Daniel Levy no longer at the helm, who is now got the expertise to front that element of the club? Obviously, Daniel Levy was so much front and centre and in control of all those aspects. He was in control of everything, but especially that aspect which was actually going well, the finances and the growth of the club. With him no longer there, who is heading that up and who has got the expertise to make sure that growth continues in that same trajectory? And maybe they're going to help fill that void.
Yeah, I mean, look, what we want as fans is obviously success on the pitch. We want them to pump loads of money in and to get the best players that are on offer and everything like that. And let's hope it can go in that direction. But obviously, we go into it with our eyes wide open. We've been burnt by owners before, currently being burnt by owners. So let's hope this is a signal of change and a signal of intent. Who knows that?
Yeah, I get the feeling it's the startings of a potential takeover attempt. I think it might take a while. Obviously, this comes off the back of literally, a week ago, the Lewis family, Charrington, both making statements saying that, making things very, very clear, they are not for sale, they're in it for the long haul, and this is not a case of we're going to just try and make as much money and bail. So it's quite interesting this has happened so soon after that. Obviously, they don't have control over Levy selling, or the Levy family trust selling their the amount of shares that they've sold from Tottenham. Obviously, he's now no longer part of Tottenham, but he's still got those shares at Enic, which he's now sold. So they have no control over that. But I do wonder if yeah, I think they've come on board. I think with the long-term goal of maybe a possible takeover. I reckon that's why I get the feeling.
Yeah, it could very well be. Because look, we know that that's what their intentions were at the beginning.
Yeah,
They
exactly.
wanted to take over the whole of Tottenham. So that's still going to be their intentions, I believe. It's just about if it's going to be possible, if Enic will let that happen, if the Lewis family will let that happen. Because they've told us their intentions. Whether that's true or not, who knows? Everything will become more evident in the coming probably years. I mean, I don't think we'll see anything about this apart from a year, at the very minimum.
Yeah, no, it's going to take a while, and obviously we know that the reported fee of that was rejected before was $4.5 billion. So whether they'll need more than that down the line to get an acceptable offer for the Lewis family, it's going to be interesting. So I don't know how much that they would need, but it's going to be. I don't know what's going to change having them on board. Maybe will there be more investment? Maybe will they help with some stuff? Will they help kind of take the club to another level? Who knows? I don't know what's going to change, but it's a very interesting development. That's what we do know.
Brian Daigle's in the live chat though, and he says it's the 5th of June 2026, and after 25 years, I can finally say that Tottenham Hotspur is a Daniel Levy free zone. He still has a small percentage in Enic, very small.
Well, 5%, 4%.
Yeah, something very small around. Yeah, that's it, 4%. But it's nowhere near as significant as that 25%.
Yeah.
So look, it's hard to get excited about it, isn't it? You want to be excited about it because it's like very rich people, billionaires, coming forward and taking Daniel Levy's shares off him. But it's hard to know when you don't know their intentions and you don't really know who these people are.
Yeah. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things change, if they have an influence within the club, within the boardroom, and what their long-term goals are. And let's see. But Daniel Levy no longer owning such a big stake in Enic is quite significant news. I think it's significant long-term. I think in the short-term, probably nothing changes immediately. I don't think it affects our summer too much or anything like that. But I think long-term, we'll have to see what kind of effect this does have on the football club.
Yeah. So that's that. Daniel Levy has sold his 24.99% of his shares in Enic to these guys. What's that? 8 Sports Holding, NG Wingfei, Richard Tsai, and the CEO, Brooklyn Eric. By the way, Brooklyn Eric does follow us on X. So let's get him on the channel, people. Let's get him to come on and state his intentions and give us a bit of a lowdown on what their plans are. So if you want to see that, go over to X at him and tell him to come on We Are Tottenham TV. Give him a polite request.
Tell him, let's talk to the fans.
Exactly.
Come on. If you want to, you want to alleviate some fan fears, or you want to give a direct communication of what this means for us, come on the show. Let's have a conversation. We're more than willing to have you on. We're very intrigued about what your plans are for Tottenham going forward.
Exactly. So go and head over to X if you're on there, and at him and say, come on, it's time to speak to the fans, and get onto social media and get on We Are Tottenham TV and address the fans. That's what we all want to hear.